Good morning, students. We are continuing our discussion on part 2 of the theory part or the principles of web design. So today we are going to see some more principles and concepts which we will be using in the design of a web. First one, there are we in the last slide or in the last presentation of the video lesson, we have seen the definition of good accessibility. Accessibility means what? How the user will find it easy to use. Now it is not, accessibility is not only about how it is easy for him to get access to the website. It is also similar to how it is easy for him to use. So the word accessibility and usability are used interchangeably in the web design. So please remember this one. Whenever I use accessibility and usability, both of them refers to the same thing. How the customer or the end user will find it easy to use the website and also to connect to the website. So now there are some basic rules which actually helps to improve the accessibility. Now let us try to understand the first one. It's a very simple rule. We can see it here. Okay, when you are going to design a web page, please remember these things. Do not put your information in the form of long sentences and paragraphs, because people don't want to see a lot of information in text. You have to understand this first ground reality about good accessibility. Do not put paragraphs, big paragraphs. Break them long blocks of text into smaller chunks using headings and bulleted list. That's why in our HTML project I told you to use lists, and I told you to use something like layouts if it is possible. So you have to use these things. You cannot put all the information crowded in one place so that the user does not get attention and may not be able to focus on it very clearly. The other common mistake what is done by the web designers is that they try to use some complicated jargons and words. What is jargon? Technical words which are not easily understandable for a customer who is not technically very well versed. So please do not use complicated words which are not necessary. Okay, make the things easy for the people for whom you are serving. Do not think that you should use a very high level content, not necessary. You look at some other website and decide to develop a website similar to that one, it is not a good idea. You have to understand who is your customer and what are his abilities, and you have to decide on the things according to his level, not according to the level which is done by other people. And as I told you, we should not use very complicated words, because language is not their first language. They are not language teachers. They are not language experts. Remember this one. It is not a place to show your ability of language. It is for the convenience and the comfort of the end user. So please do not use complex language when you are going to design a website or web design which you are going to make. Also, there are many more rules that you have to follow. Try to put a table of contents. If you are having a long page, put a table of contents. It's very important. Why? If you have a table of content, it gives the people to click on the hyperlink so that they can go to that section directly. Instead of scrolling up and down, if you are going to have a table of content, something like a Wikipedia. In the Wikipedia, you will see this type of examples very often. There is a heading or a content page in the top. You click on that section, it will go to that section. So it's a very good way to design your web page so that accessibility is good for the customer. Active voice instead of passive voice. You know what is active voice? You should say, please do it. It is done like that, not like this. This is not passive voice. And avoid double negatives. Like it is not true to say that it is good. It's not a good way, because you are having two negative statements. Double negative becomes positive, but when people look at it, they are confused. So do not give complicated sentence by giving a complex sentence with two negative in one part, and also use an active voice rather than using a passive voice. Okay, and then provide text alternatives for media formats. If you see, some people may not have a particular media player which is used by your website, and they cannot see that particular image. Because of that reason, the icon for that one cannot be shown. So please provide what? Text alternative. You see, that's what we did in HTML. If you are going to have the image source, you give the image, then you give what? Alt, alternate. If this image cannot be displayed because of some reason, because the format of the picture is not supported by your browser, still you will see some text. So the text will be there, and somebody click on the text also, they will be able to open that particular link. Okay, alt text or detailed caption. This is very important. You have a detailed caption, and this one. Provided glossary of technical terms and abbreviations. It is very important. Whenever you are designing a web page, use a glossary. You know what is a glossary? Like a dictionary. So that, like, if they are not able to understand a particular jargon, they will click on it and they can try to understand it in a better way. So this is very, very important when you are going to decide about this one. I hope it's clear until now. Let's go to the next concept. The next concept is called usability. The next concept that we are going to see is called usability. What is usability? Now let us explain. As I told you, usability and accessibility are almost same. That the website which is developed is easy for the user to use and does not feel the burden of using the website. See the word? It is easy for him to use. That's called usability. And you should not feel burdened. If you are going to use some systems or some web page you visit, you feel not happy to use it. This should not be the case with your website. Usability. It should be usable by whom? The end user. It is achieved only by using those elements which are necessary. You should not put unnecessary elements in your web design to show that there are many elements. Use only those things which are necessary in your web design. Use the colors which are comforting. Soothing means comforting. Okay, even the people who have color blindness should be able to see it. Do not use flashy colors, too flashy colors, so that the people lose interest and they get irritation of seeing the web page. Okay, physically challenged people should also be able to use the website and services. Like in some websites you will see a button called listen. When you click on it, it will give this is the button, click on menu, something like this. You can also keep a sound so that even the physically challenged people will find it easy to use the website. I hope until now it's clear for all of you. Now let's try to see. It's very important now. This is very important because we use the two terms now in this video lesson. One is accessibility, the other one is usability. Okay, it is worth clarifying that both are not same. To make a long story short, understand this one. How your site is easy to use. Please try to understand how it is easy to use. Okay, and what is accessibility? Accessibility is how easy for perceive and understand and navigate and interact with your site's content. Okay, like for example, you are having menu. It is related to usability. But if you are going to use some difficult words, it relates to accessibility. They cannot understand it. They understand. They find it difficult. So this is called accessibility. Okay, so these are different terms, but there is some relationship between these two. Now, as I was talking about the content development stage, there is something called audit. You know what is audit? Audit means to check. In every organization, they do audit, financial audit. What is financial audit? They check whether the finances are handled properly in this organization or not. This is called financial audit. Similarly, in the web design, we have something called content audit. Let us focus on it. What is the goal of the content audit? Is to evaluate your existing content, to check your existing content. to evaluate, to measure, is it good or bad, your content now. Okay. At the same time, you catalog your content and as a separate step. Okay. At the same time, you catalog your content as a separate step. That means what? You can actually see each of the items and you can catalog them. This is good, this is bad, like this. Okay, there is a method used for doing the content audit which is called ROT method. Let us try to understand what is ROT method. This is the method, standard method used for doing a content audit. Okay, it's a content strategy exercise. It's also called content strategy exercise. ROT is also called content strategy exercise. What is the full form of ROT? It is given here. Redundant, outdated and trivial. That means when you are going to look at each content of your web page, you are going to look at that where there is a redundancy. What is redundancy? Duplication. Outdated. Outdated means it is not at all valid at this point of time. It is of no use, so we have to remove it. And trivial means it is not very important to have this information. So that's called ROT. ROT is a content strategy exercise which helps us to do the content audit, to evaluate each content of the web page to decide which content are good to be kept and which are not good, and we can find this is repeated, this is outdated one, and it is trivial. Okay, so you can see it will identify each of the content, and I will identify which are the contents which are going to follow in any one of these three categories. What are the three categories? Which is redundant category, it is an outdated category, and it is a trivial thing. It should not be there. I hope it's a simple thing. What are the examples of ROT content? Okay, if you want, I will put it in the form of even a numbered list. If you like it to be seen in numbered list, there are 7 examples which I have given you. Broken links. No link is there. If you click on it, the page cannot be displayed. There is no link, but just there is something on the page, but there is no connection to that particular link. So this is an example of ROT content. It is outdated content. We don't need it now. Content that is repeated on different pages. For example, I will give you an example. Staff of DU. All the staff names are there about Dhofar University. Also, I have another page, CCBA staff, for example. That means the same data is repeated in 2 places. Okay, in different sections on the same page, or maybe in different pages also. Now you can see here, the third one is what? The events, like for example, events that are past but are presented as being in the future. Something was there in the future, but we are going to say like it is like it was in the future. It is in the future. Actually, this data was long back used, but now no. So you have to understand that this is actually not a correct way to do this one. Okay, like for example, let me events that are in the past but presented as being in the future. Inaccurate contact details. It's very important. In some websites, their contact details are still the old people who were working in the company 5 years before. It was not changed. It is a very bad practice, and it can lead to big problems. Why? Because somebody is trying to contact the company for some information, they will not get the accurate information because of what? The details of contact is there. Old features are portrayed as new features. The same features are the old features which are not very useful are portrayed as new features. There are some pages in the web page, when the web page or in the website design, which nobody visits. You can see that that page has not got any hit. When that page is not going to get any hit, it means the page is not like, and it is of no use for anybody. So you have to see those. These are some examples of the ROT content. Okay, what is ROT content? I told you. Okay, what are that ROT content? Example of the ROT content I already gave you before. You can see it here. In this one, I think it is given as for you. Number 1, redundant, outdated and trivial. Okay, the last slide for this particular video lesson is what? The discipline of the content strategy covers planning, creation of any type of content. It can be text, everything, video, audio, or any other format. Whatever the format you are going to use, you will have an evaluation of every content that you are going to have. Is this text needed? Is this text valid? Is this audio good? Is this video necessary? Anything that you are going to have as a content in your web design will be evaluated. Okay, you have to develop a website according to your business goals and your user goals. You should not just make a website like copying the other company's website. Most of the time, many people do a big mistake in developing their website is that they try to develop a website copying another company's website. This is not a good idea. You have to understand what are your customers' goals and what are your business goals. Okay, so it is relates not only to actual management of time but also actual approach and objectives of the content. What you need to put, what is the thing that you need to give to your customer to satisfy your business aspiration, and what your customer expects from you through this business transaction. All these things are very importantly to be noted. I hope until now this is clear for everyone. With this, we have completed the second part of the video lesson on the principles of web design. The next video will be about the last part of the principles of the web design, and that will cover some other important principles related to web design. Thank you very much and see you then, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.